Your fintech startup hits product market fit. You secure major integrations, user adoption spikes, and you enter a phase of rapid triple-digit growth. Then, an enterprise buyer's procurement department sends over a 200-question vendor risk assessment, and your momentum hits a concrete wall. Institutional risk teams require formal, audited proof of your security posture, specifically frameworks like SOC 2 Type 2 or ISO 27001. SOC 2 Type 2 and ISO 27001 are rigorous, independent audit standards that verify a company continuously maintains strict data security and operational controls. Without these completed reports, enterprise procurement treats your platform as an automatic disqualification. The financial penalty for missing these frameworks is immediate. Mid-market enterprise deals representing $150,000 to $500,000 in ARR, or annual recurring revenue, stall out and die in the final stages of negotiation. This funnel chart shows exactly where the damage occurs. A healthy sales pipeline with high volume at the top gets choked out at the procurement phase, heavily filtering out the most lucrative contracts. For a B2B fintech, a missing security framework acts as a hard go-to-market blocker. It bypasses the IT backlog entirely and goes straight to killing revenue. To capture that revenue, a scaling company needs an audit-ready, board-approved compliance program. The timeline is rigid. Enterprise prospects and Series B investors are pausing their evaluations today, explicitly waiting on you to provide this documentation before they move forward. Building enterprise-grade security governance requires specialized executive leadership, which creates severe friction when you are operating on a tight Series A startup budget. Founders typically face three operational paths to solve this: absorbing the CTO tax, hiring a full-time executive CISO, or bringing in a virtual CISO, which is an external expert operating on a fractional, part-time basis. The margin for error is razor-thin. Selecting the wrong leadership model will either rapidly burn through your critical startup cash reserves or permanently stall your upcoming Series B funding round. Many startups default to the status quo, assigning security questionnaires to their senior developer or CTO. This forces your most vital technical leader to spend 20% of their week filling out CAIQ questionnaires. CAIQ is an industry-standard security assessment survey used by risk teams to evaluate vendor cloud infrastructure. The opportunity cost here is massive. Every hour your CTO spends decoding compliance questions costs your company $300 to $600 in delayed product development and missed sprint deadlines. To make matters worse, developers without specialized compliance experience complete these questionnaires slowly. They frequently check fail answers or leave gaps that trigger immediate red flags for vendor risk teams. Looking at this corporate RFP document, there is a critical legal gap the CTO cannot fill. Enterprise contracts demand a dedicated security executive on record. Institutional investors also know that a CTO cannot objectively audit the security of their own infrastructure. Having the person who built the system also grade its compliance signals a lack of mature governance. Relying on the CTO to save headcount costs you twice. You sacrifice your product roadmap and still fail the procurement test. The traditional corporate response is to recruit an in-house security expert to own the problem. The financial burden of this choice is staggering for a scaling business. A CISO with fintech compliance experience commands a base salary between $280,000 and $450,000, not including recruitment fees and equity packages. Beyond the capital cost, there is a severe time delay. It typically takes 3 to 6 months to recruit, hire, and onboard a new executive before they become productive enough to build out your program. This side-by-side comparison shows the investment scale. Year one cash burn for a full-time hire outweighs the revenue generated by the enterprise deal. You also risk a single point of failure. An executive might know PCI DSS, but fall short on DORA's EU regulations. The clear benefit of an in-house CISO is having a dedicated executive who intimately understands your codebase and fully owns your long-term proprietary security architecture. A full-time hire is a strong, permanent solution for a mature company. However, it is a massive fixed cost that fails to save the enterprise deals dying in your procurement pipeline this week. The third option is the agile alternative, engaging an external virtual CISO team. This model shifts the financial input entirely. Instead of absorbing massive upfront salaries and equity negotiations, you move to a variable, monthly approved billing structure based on the specific work delivered. The speed to value accelerates. A gap assessment occurs in week 1. By month 1, the team is accurately completing the enterprise security questionnaires that are stalling your sales. You instantly gain a legal and operational asset. You can deploy a multi-framework expert as your named CISO on enterprise RFPs, satisfying vendor WISC requirements. The primary trade-off is control. Your company must relinquish total in-house ownership and place trust in a third-party partner to manage your sensitive compliance mapping. By converting security leadership into a variable cost, the vCISO model delivers immediate return on investment. This unblocks stalled enterprise revenue almost instantly. Ultimately, the focus must shift from who leads the program to what actually gets the enterprise contract signed. Achieving a finalized SOC 2 Type 2 report or ISO 27001 certification requires a 6 to 9 month period of operational discipline, policy drafting, and evidence collection. Holding these finalized reports is powerful. Presenting an audit-ready SOC2 allows your fintech to bypass those 200-question vendor risk assessments. This preemptive compliance extends to Series B funding. Founders walk into the investor data room with an established security framework, presenting 0 red flags to institutional risk models. Securing these certifications permanently removes operational friction, allowing an enterprise deal to move into its final stage without the usual compliance delays. True compliance is not about getting slightly better at answering security questionnaires. It is about preempting them entirely to cut your sales cycles by months. To map your specific company profile to the correct security solution, we evaluate your current position across 2 simple criteria. This quadrant chart maps available capital against the speed to unblock revenue. Well-funded scale-ups sit in the bottom right, with capital for an in-house CISO. Series A and B startups bleeding deals today sit in the top left, requiring the speed of a vCISO. You should trigger the vCISO path if you need to answer a major RFP next week, or if you must navigate overlapping global frameworks simultaneously, like balancing the EU's DORA requirements alongside the GLBA, the mandatory U.S. safeguards rule for consumer financial data. If you are actively trying to scale B2B enterprise sales or raise institutional funding, do not choose the CTO tax. It will cost you product momentum and stall your deals. In the fintech sector, verified security documentation is an explicit feature of your product. It is a contractual requirement, not an administrative afterthought. Lacking enterprise-grade compliance places a hard ceiling on a scaling fintech's revenue. The problem has evolved far beyond a simple IT deficiency.